Hey, RetconRaider here, and welcome back to the alpha for Warhammer 40k Rogue Trader. As today we wrap up our business on Footfall. Not sure we'll actually get out into space just yet, but at the very least we should be ready to go by the end of this episode. That said, we've also got some bookkeeping to do. Starting with our new gear. As implied last time around, I ended up picking up a couple of those items we saw at the pirate vendor. Namely that stub revolver, as well as one of those nice cloaks, which unfortunately burned through pretty much all of our profit factor. But that should provide us with a nice little boost in combat. And aside from that, we've also got our new level ups. Now, our options do vary slightly based on class. And for our veterans, we have to choose one new talent, which, if you're familiar with games like Dungeons & Dragons, Pathfinder, or Fallout, are essentially feats, or perks. These are all passive modifiers which alter the way some core class ability works, or which just grant a passive bonus on specific types of weapons, specific combat tactics, etc. For Retcon Trader here, given my growing propensity for auto guns and stub weapons, I'm thinking we'll grab Up Close and Personal. That's a nice little boost to damage as long as we're within 3 spaces of the target we're firing at. That should help offset our lower penetration and damage per shot ratings. As for our other 2 veterans, Argenta and Jay, we'll go with something a bit safer. We'll just grab Nimble. That's a nice flat plus 10% to their dodge chances. As we've seen in combat, Argenta in particular is much more vulnerable than we would like.
You love to take charge, don't you?
I feel like under the current rule system, at higher difficulties, you're better off investing in dodge than damage resistance. We saw a marked shift in the effectiveness of DR once we jumped from standard to core difficulty. After that, we've got Adira, our resident lightning-hurling assassin. And unlike our veterans, she actually gets a characteristic boost, which is about as simple as it gets. That's a flat +5 bonus to one of her primary attributes. There's a lot of possibilities here, but I think we'll play it safe. She's an offensive psychic, so we'll just dump that right into willpower. Then we've got Cassie and Pascal, our resident strategists, and they actually get a skill boost, which again is fairly straightforward. That's a flat +10 to any of their current skills. And given that Cassie is our only dedicated fellowship character, that means it's either going into commerce, coercion, or persuasion. And while it is tempting to bump up our commerce, we are a trader after all, I actually noticed that Jay has a commerce skill that's just behind Cassie's. Given that none of our other party members are really focused on persuasion, we'll go ahead and have Cassie bump that up instead. It'll take her up to a respectable 55. Still not enough to really be reliable, but certainly better than nothing. I will say, that is one slight point of contention I have with the Rogue Trader system. Not necessarily this game, but the underlying system in general. The lack of control over how quickly you can progress and refine your skill mastery does make most skill checks kind of a crapshoot. That said, again, we'll have a whole lot more control over that sort of thing once we actually play the game from start, as opposed to coming in with pre-gens. In theory, we would have at least been able to direct their skill growth a bit more during those first 15 levels. We'll see how much it improves by the time we hit full launch.
Greetings, sir. What brings you here? Did you want to watch us break our backs out here, eh? Footfall Utility Crew 3 is happy to be working for the good of the denizens and the guests of the station. The man winks and salutes you with his flamer.
Cool. But what exactly are you doing?
Just burning rats, and some trash, and some parasites of other sorts. The district's under quarantine, you see. It got hit by something nasty. A disease. Or maybe it ain't a disease, just some bugs and worms what crawled out of some ship or other.
It is a bit odd that it happened here and not at the docks, I'll grant you. Things like that usually start there. They even spray the place with some gunk to kill all the bugs and worms. But I guess something slipped through. 2 families in that block way over there snuffed it, and the Liege wasted no time in getting the district surrounded so that nobody could leave. So wait, you don't actually know what's going on in there? You're just preemptively burning the place out? Nah, we don't. And we don't want to find out. If something nasty's cropped up, the right move is to contain it and kill it with fire. Not go in and see what it is and why it's there. Right, yeah, of course. How exactly did the victims die? Who knows? We found them in their hovels, already dead, blue sores on their body, and they stank something awful. Which is why the lot that found them didn't even risk looting the corpses. Good on them, I guess. Doesn't mean we let them out, of course. Of course. Pretty sure I already know the answer, but what exact measures are you taking to try to get this situation under control? You're looking at them. We stand here burning the foulness, and we've got people standing guard so that no one escapes. Put some mines down, a whole load of them, for the same reasons. The water, the sewers, all blocked off to stop any communications getting out. The air's open, I suppose, but the foulness don't seem to be airborne. There haven't been any strange deaths outside the district. Stupid question, but I don't suppose anything's actually being done to try to help the people stuck in there? Of course not. I mean, I heard Reverend Hieronymus was praying for their souls, which sounded more like, retribution fell upon them, and rightly so. That's the most they can hope for. Yeah, that's harsh, but I guess it makes sense given the supply situation on the station. I don't suppose I can go in? No dice. Ain't gonna happen. We're not letting anyone in. I'm telling you right now, bribes and intimidation won't work on me, so don't even try. You can file a petition with the Liege if you're so desperate, but my advice to you would be to go on your merry way. The Void's got plenty of nasty, dangerous holes. You don't have to die in this one in particular. You'll go in and die, and that means I'll have more corpses to burn. He pointedly turns you away. Fair enough. I figured it was worth a shot. I am curious if his answer would actually change if we weren't here incognito. But we were on our way to chat with the Liege anyway. We'll see what Bladame has to say about all this. I think it's also pretty safe to assume that that's not just a normal outbreak. We already found one cult down here. Not much of a stretch to imagine there might be another. Alright, let's go check out that other stash point. It's gotta be over here, right? The Shrine of Drusius just outside the palace?
Victory awaits.
Yep, there we go. Let's see what we got. Note from the Lantern Cache. You're on the right path, Seeker. Remember the place. Small quay. Large windows. Oh, good. So we're on a scavenger hunt. Small quay? What in the world is a quay? Large windows doesn't really narrow it down either. Oh, you know what? I bet it's the docking bay. That bar just off docking bay 111. The camera even deliberately lingered on it when we first landed. Trying to keep an eye out for any other new NPCs or scenery that pops up, but that is one of the drawbacks of this game. There is a lot of perpetual clutter, a lot of visual clutter to parse through. Greetings, your lordship. I don't mean to hurry you, but... ... Blaine notices Jay standing behind you, and you see his jaw tightening with tension. And what are you doing here? Vladaim, you must have thought you were the only one on Footfall who knew how to make friends. Jay shrugs and smirks condescendingly. Told you I'd find a better deal. Ignoring Jay, Vladaim pointedly addresses you. I'm sure your lordship has reasons for getting mixed up with a small fry like her. Perhaps you were amused by her false promises of quick profit, or some more intimate aspects of such relationships. In any case, that's none of my business. Just remember that, here on Footfall, the truly good deals worthy of your attention can only come from me. That is true. The two of you serve very different purposes. But I do find it amusing you're both trying to compete for my attention. You don't need to feel threatened, Vladaim. I was just on the market for another lackey. A ghost of a smile appears on Vladaim's pale lips. Of course, your lordship. And now, shall we discuss more pressing matters? Yes, let's do that. What exactly is going on down in the Shadow Quarters? Oh, that. He grimaces. Who knows? It could be an actual epidemic. Or perhaps the two families that started it all just came down with food poisoning at the same time. We're on a space station. The best solution here is to isolate the area and wait for the problem to resolve itself. Which is fair but harsh, given the circumstances. If it is an epidemic, it's fully justified, but I mean, there are signs we've got cultist or Anvers nonsense in the works. So I really would like to check it out. I mean, I feel like it has to be more than just a random illness. Could I enter the quarantine zone? Out of the question. You would be putting both yourself and the station at risk. Yeah, that's fair. And I mean, that's fair too, because of their current supply shortages, which I'm supposed to resolve. I would like to send some medical aid to the stricken sector. We'll call it an investment. I mean, there's got to be something down there. I feel like, ultimately, if we can help them, it'll pay off in the end. I can't bar you from doing so, but I can't help but note that it's not the wisest course of action. With all due respect, your lordship. And let's have another quick peek at his wares. Oh, shoot, the modified splinter pistol. I completely forgot about that. Yeah, that might have actually been a better investment than that stub gun. But it's fine. There's a lot to be said for a giant honkin' revolver on your hip. And I believe the update on our journal just told us we basically just have to wait for this to resolve. Yeah. Which implies we have to do something else first, I'm guessing. Secure the food supplies from our agri-world. Though the Exterminator also name-dropped Hieronymus. So that might be worth following up on. I have seen some rumblings down in the comment section suggesting that Hieronymus might actually be a servant of Nurgle. Hey guys. They seem to be doing fine.
Follow my lead.
I'm also trying to keep an eye out for any more anvers that pop up, but I think at this point it's just the ones in the quarantine zone. Though I'll canvass the rest of the station off screen just to make sure we're not missing anything.
The Emperor protects, my son.
Neat. Glad to hear it. And I guess we're done.
The Emperor protects, my son.
Likewise. Which just leaves the stash point, so I guess we're headed back to the docks.
It's about time.
Lord Captain, I am pleased to report that the repairs have been completed. The void ship is ready to depart Footfall. The crew is waiting for your further instructions, and there are also a number of issues that need to be addressed.
Very nice. Yeah, I forgot that was even a thing. That's not a quay, right? No, there's nothing there. There's not even windows. Aside from the giant translucent walls, I suppose. Let's hit the bar. Aha! This must be a quay. And here I've always just called them columns. Note from the cache by the dock windows.
The answer is close, Seeker. Remember the word, realizing. Remember the place, a tunnel in the shadow of a bridge in the shadow of a great statue.
Well, I mean, we've seen dozens of statues. Unless that refers to... They carved half the asteroid into a statue of the Emperor, right? But I don't think we've actually seen that. I think that's out in space. I think? Maybe it's that statue of the rogue trader who built this place. The one we saw back in the atrium. Okay, I'm not entirely sure where we're headed, so let's hit the pause button real quick. I'm just going to do the rounds through all the levels, check all the statues we passed. We'll be right back. And we're back. And according to our journal, it turns out the final stash point is, in fact, in the quarantine zone. So I guess that'll just have to wait too. I also took the opportunity to poke around the rest of the station and nothing really jumped out at me. But we do have a few folks to catch up with right here near our ship. So let's see what's going on here. The refugees from Kiava Gamma are looking at you. Some with apprehensive frowns, some with unconcealed gratitude. Right, they said some things In the heat of the moment, they probably shouldn't have. So tell me exactly what's going on Kiaba Gamma? We told you everything back in the square. Things are rough on Kiaba Gamma. Maybe there isn't even a Kiaba Gamma anymore. The planet was attacked by a horde of heretics. They shouted unholy prayers and cut down people left and right. We heard everything from orbit, listening to one Voxcast after another. We realized there wasn't anyone left to save, so we thought we'd run. But then, it was like our crew went mad somehow. The captain smashed his own head against a cogitator, and so did half of the officers. Everyone who survived did their best to steer the ship into the warp. And here we are. Only 3 ships made it out alive, ours being one of them. We don't know what happened to the other 2. They never made it to Footfall. Maybe they disappeared in the warp. Or maybe something else happened to them. Heinrix looks at the man closely, then at you. Corrupted Voxcasts. A special breed of heresy that requires knowledge of unholy arts. Kiaba Gamma could have fallen under the influence of twisted tech priests. Having once succumbed to corruption, they forget all limitations imposed by faith, and delve into unbridled and dangerous research. Adira freezes, listening to something. Then she blurts out in a changed voice. The first beast, its body wounded, crawled into a hole under the palace of an eminent lord. The second beast, its skin and ulcers, perished in an asteroid grave. The third beast, its essence cursed, is curled up in the glow of a yellow sun. Oh, well that's comforting. Thank you, Adira. It is good to know what happened to our ships. Right, so obviously the first beast is the one that arrived here, under the palace of an eminent lord. The second, it sounds like, just died out in space somewhere. And then the third, though, the third either crash-landed on a planet, or perhaps fell prey to the Sun Cult. Whatever they were called, their name escapes me at the moment. It's not much, but it gives us something to go on. What of the ship you arrived on? Where is it now? Apologies, we couldn't save it. The ship was damaged during the escape. We're lucky it got us all the way to Footfall. It's at the far docks, but there isn't much use for it anymore. It doesn't look like it's going to fly anywhere, and the local recollegers have already removed some of the valuable parts. You can send your people there to take apart whatever's left, scavenge some components. The map of the Coronis was revealed to me before the Sea of Souls roiled and tangled the paths. How did you, desperate ones, reach Footfall, all the way from the Cranach system, without a navigator? Frightened by Cassia's appearance, the refugee covers his face with his hands, trembling violently. Please forget my worthless words. We were feeling our way in the dark, you could say. All we had is some old maps. We prayed to the God Emperor day and night while our helmsman plotted the course. A miracle it must have been, your lordship. So a stroke of great fortune spared your lives, and yet you still saw fit to speak ill of your masters, of the fates that guided you here. You do realize we still have to address that, do you not? One by one, the refugees fall to their knees. Please, have mercy. A few idiots shouted some things, that's all. We shut them up ourselves already. It was their grief and fear talking. Please don't punish the rest of us for it. Pascal's voice sounds impassive and cold.
Vituperation directed at the Adeptus Mechanicus was likewise registered. Denial is meaningless.
Come now, Shireen, relent. What can an illustrious rogue trader expect from wretches in rags whose weak spirit could not withstand a single blow of fate? Yeah, I mean, I know I'm supposed to be a ruthless rogue trader. One who takes no slights and brooks no offense, but they went through the ringer. They made it all the way out here, and in doing so provided us with valuable information and a ship we would have otherwise completely lost. I'll look the other way, this once. You may serve on my ship and regain your honor. Prove yourselves once more. Do not let me down. Their eyes beam. Praise be to the Emperor! We're saved and pardoned! We'll do as we're told. We won't say another word. Bowing hastily, the refugees back away from you. Well, let's hope that doesn't come back to bite us.
I won't tolerate weakness.
A familiar figure turns to you. Heinrix von Kalox, interrogator of the Ordo Xenos, bows his head respectfully. Lord Captain. Greetings, interrogator. I thought our business was done. To what do I owe this unexpected visitation? Only to our mutual duty to humanity. It is that duty that demands that I disturb your peace once more. I was able to contact my mentor and report the tragic events that transpired on Rykad Minoris. I also received some information from my agents regarding the movement and actions of enemies of humanity, including the Xenos that we're assuming were involved in the theft of the star. According to their findings, the threat now hangs over other worlds. This time yours, Lord Captain. Heinrix clears his throat and begins in a pointedly official tone. By the order of Lord Inquisitor Xavier Kalkazar, whose duty is to stand sentinel over the Coronis Expanse, the rogue trader of House von Valancius is to take on board the agent of the Most Holy Inquisition and provide escort and support in deeds great and small that serve to safeguard the territories of the Imperium against its enemies. This decree is effective immediately upon announcement, and remains in effect until decided otherwise by His Excellency Kalkazar. Adira's whisper is barely audible. All I got from that is that ridding ourselves of this snitch won't be easy. Come now, Heinrix. If we're to be partners, then there's no need to obfuscate our true intentions. Speak plainly, please. His mouth twists slightly. The Lord Inquisitor has deemed that my presence aboard your ship and in your retinue would be significantly more beneficial to the fight against heresy and evil than my return to my mentor's side. Our parting before our arrival on Footfall was premature. And what exactly prompted this sudden urgency to rejoin my crew? The cause is the activity of humanity's enemies, including the cult of the Final Dawn. In my absence, the situation in the Coronis Expanse has changed. I have received an exhaustive report from my agents. This heresy has taken root in the region where the Von Valancius worlds lie. You probably already know about the fate of the industrial world of Kiava Gamma. If not, then I will share what details I know. But not here. Better to talk on board, where we will not be overheard. Cool. I mean, to be fair, Heinrix does seem interesting, but having an Inquisitor along will definitely cramp the rogue part of our rogue trading. I don't really have much choice here, do I? Heinrix studies you for a moment, then, ever so slightly, as if not wanting anyone else to see, shakes his head. Well, gosh, when you put it that way, how could I possibly say no? A free sanctioned psyker with access to Inquisitor resources on my ship? I'd be a fool to turn it down. Not the most common response to the news that I will be constantly breathing down your neck. You aren't wrong, though. I prefer to repay favors in kind. Assist me by ensuring that my work is unobstructed, and I will assist you in return. I must also deliver this to you. Heinrix pulls out a sealed letter. The Lord Inquisitor specified that the contents of this envelope are for your eyes only. I would ask you to read it as soon as you have the time. That is everything for the time being. Are you headed to the ship, or do you still have business on footfall? Whatever the case, I can either wait for you on board, or accompany you as part of your retinue. Sure, why don't you tag along? We're about to head back onto the ship anyway, but this will give us a chance to get a gander at his sheet. Alright, Heinrix, what have you got going on? Oh, he's a fighter. Interesting. A fighter with psychic powers. One defensive and one offensive. How exactly would that work? Is that... Okay. That's a ranged area attack. There's some distinct possibilities there. Let's get a gander at his gear. Oh, a force sword. That's fun. And an Inferno pistol. What's not to love about a one-handed melt-a-gun? Plus a combat shotgun. That is very pretty. That reminds me of the ones wielded by, like, the Adeptus Arbitus in Necromunda. I wonder if our main is proficient with force swords. No particular reason, just spitballing here. And that's it. Let's re-embark. We've got plenty of space for activity. Lord Captain, the ship repairs are complete. The tech priests are reporting the machine spirits are calm and satisfied. Everything is ready for onward travel. Except there is an issue you must be made aware of. Cassia makes a quick, nervous gesture, adjusting the adornment over her third eye. I have been studying the records left by the vessel's previous navigator. I wanted to double-check the route to Dargonis and discovered that it does not match the one recorded in the Atlas. It is more than a minor warp fluctuation. The route has been wiped out. It can no longer be used for traveling. To make matters worse, I started checking the paths from the Atlas, one after the other, and saw the same thing everywhere. The warp is roiling with an ominous storm, bursting with vivid and screaming colors. It will not hinder our movement, but all previous knowledge is now utterly useless. Argenta angrily chops the air with the side of her palm. Warp storms are our enemies, just like heretics and daemons. It is a shame they can't be dispersed with a flamer or a bolter. Insightful as ever. Thank you, Argenta. Now we can be certain that problems with astropathic communication in the Coronis Expanse are no coincidence. There is a warp disturbance in our way, Lord Captain. It is swallowing the messages and disrupting familiar routes. This means you need to locate the key worlds of the Von Valancius trade empire as soon as possible. I am talking about Janus, Dargonis, and Kiava Gamma. Charting new routes so they can be reached and restoring control will be the necessary next step. And if we can't do that? A world deprived of connection to its neighboring systems and the Coronis Expanse's infrastructure can only rely on itself, and their capabilities are often limited. For example, Janus does not have a fleet of its own. Pirates, cultists, heretics, Xenos, anyone could prey on the helpless planet. The loss of communication is a threat to your position. A rogue trader with no trade empire to back them is one that grows weaker by the day.
The Voxmaster is entirely correct. You are Rogue Trader von Valancius, the successor to Theodora von Valancius, one of the most influential women this side of the Maw. But you are also new to the business of governing. Many will doubt your competence and try to carve up your empire so they can snatch a piece for themselves. It is important to show your potential allies and foes that you are in control of the situation, which is why the sooner we reclaim these lost worlds, the better. Understood. So, tell me about Janus.
The surface of Janus was altered extensively so the planet could be designated an agri-world. It is a powerful food base capable of supplying the burgeoning trade empire and exporting provisions to the outer worlds at the same time. Janus owes much of its prosperity to the governor house of Wyatt. Under its leadership, the world has grown ever more prosperous year after year, securing shipments and taxes while keeping the workforce tightly controlled.
And Kiaba Gamma?
Kiaba Gamma is being managed by the governor house of Goprak and supplies your empire with rare mineral resources. Additionally, the planet features an Adeptus Mechanicus Manufactorum that processes materials and prepares them for shipment.
I testify that Kiaba Gamma is a world marked by the Omnissiah's patronage. By his grace, the manufactorums of the colony are inhabited by committed and industrious machine spirits.
Heinrix coughs quietly. Mistress Ptolemy neglected to mention that the Kiaba Gamma Manufactorum also supplies heavy machinery, from forage harvesters to vessel systems and components. Abelard turns his hard eyes on Heinrix. You display commendable knowledge of our world's manufacturing capability, von Kalox. Happy to be of service. And, moving right along. What about Dargonus? Dargonus is the heart and soul of your empire. It is where the main administrative resources and storage facilities are, and so is the Von Valancius Palace. If you would like to know, this is where you will publicly accept the title of Rogue Trader. Dargonus is a major administrative hub that runs the cargo fleet and keeps track of finances. Okie dokie. Abelard, thoughts? You're my right-hand man. What do you think we should head for first? Abelard strokes his beard for a few seconds before giving a hesitant reply. Rediscovering the agri-world will supply your trade empire with something none of your servants can do without: sustenance. The importance of basic supplies should not be underestimated. Just look at Footfall in its current pitiful state. On the other hand, I am concerned by the rumors concerning Kiaba Gamma. There have been no problems on Janus for many years, but something is very wrong with the industrial world right now. Delay may cost us the entire planet. I trust I do not have to explain the capital world. Losing it would make us the laughingstock of the other dynasties. Besides, the loss of chronicles and ledgers would spell a bureaucratic catastrophe. So all three systems are equally vital to the Empire. It falls to you to decide which should be brought into the fold before the rest, Lord Captain. Okay, I think we see what's going on here. 3 planets we have to save, each one equally important, but we have to choose which order to save them in. I imagine we'll be able to save whichever 2 we go to first, but the third one will be lost. Or at least compromised in some way. Which I suppose means the real question is, which of these 3 planets could we live without? And they do all serve pretty vital functionality. Though, for the purposes of the alpha, I suppose it doesn't really matter. We can't progress past Act 2. Very well. I think I understand. Any final orders of business before we go our separate ways? No, that is all, Lord Captain. The vessel and the crew await your instructions, and are ready to depart Footfall immediately, should you so desire. And with that, our interstellar adventure is officially underway. Fantastic. Though sadly we're just about out of time, so this is probably a good place to call it. That said, that actually leaves us off on a pretty good spot, because we now have access to all of our associates, our companions, our NPC crew, and while in the full series I think we'll end up talking to all of them, we'll be able to pace it out better. For the purposes of the alpha, we really don't need to do anything other than touch on the highlights, Argenta, Heinrix, anyone who has stuff that's immediately quest relevant for the purposes of what we're currently doing. So I'll tell you what, we'll hit the pause button for now. I'm going to do a lap around the bridge, have a chat with everyone, see who has important stuff for us to cover. And we will pick up here next time. We'll have a couple of conversations, then probably do some light adventuring. Maybe hit those salvage spots the bartender told us about, but let me know which major planet you think we should hit first. I'm undecided, and I'm not sure we'll end up doing all of them in the Alpha series, so let's see if we can pick a good one. See you then. Special thanks to the Raiders, the fine folks who help make these videos possible, including but not limited to Dragon Matrix 7, Mathew Smith, Revenant, Alois, Drakiith, Egg, Eerie V23, EgonAlter, Emile, Exsellsior, Gottlieb, James Trimmier, Kazorm, Nathan Welch Jr., OverlordPherom, RandomPassrby, RobbyB, Tomasz Piątkowski, Triphoppenskip, and Valinrook. Thanks for your support, guys. That said, if you'd also like to support the channel, you can do so by pushing the buttons that do the things. Trust me, it does make a difference. Or by checking out the Patreon, the YouTube memberships, or the Nexus GG page. Links are in the description.
You love to take charge, don't you?